right, hello everybody, and welcome to the close. And what a day it's been, up in the pre-market, sideways in the real market. Let's have a look at the futures versus the real market just right now. So the futures look like this. Obviously, the little bit of a zone that we had in our previous videos, in our previous daily shows, we've seen the resistance, we've seen the support, and now we see the fight between the bulls and the bears right at this zone. This is the same for the Nasdaq. If we go over here, you'll notice the Nasdaq's at that pivotal area coming into the last half an hour of trade where mostly the big players play. And this will show us whether they're ready to go bullish or possibly go bearish. So let's just talk about this US 100. We'll actually use the NDX or the QQQ. Doesn't matter which one. We'll use the NDX or the QQQ. We'll go to the 15-minute chart just to get a bit of an understanding of what actually has gone on in the last couple of minutes of trade. So here we go. So this is the real market. It looks a little bit different to the futures market. We obviously got a gap out and we haven't filled that gap really. We haven't actually been able to get all the way back down into it. So 15-minute chart is showing that there is some decent strength here on at least the Nasdaq coming into the close. But when we have a look at the SPX, which is usually our best indicator, it shows some weakness into the close so far. We have a range. If we going to look for this and look for what we're thinking about into the close, we have our little range here. The best signal is usually going to come from the SP500 in terms of broader market. So this is really what we're looking for. And what most people are doing in terms of, considering maybe further shorts or anything like that is looking for it to break underneath here. We've obviously got a consolidation. If it breaches under here, the most logical conclusion is to try and fill the gap that moves down to this 44, let's call it 10 area. So I think that's probably the cleanest area or cleanest zone. If you're looking at bullish moves, you're looking for a closure above here in the next 20 minutes. And if that occurs, then we look to buy and rally further off the Ukraine stuff, off everything else that's going on. So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us in the stream. People are saying the volume is very low today. Is that true? Tom doesn't short. No, short. Just I think it's easier when you first start. Shorting is harder and longing is easier. That is the reality. When you've been around for a while, you can certainly look to short. It's just you've got to be fast. You've got to be quick. Remember, the VIX is still above 20. So what does this mean? Don't swing trade. Swing trade is nope. That is a cross out. You invest at levels that you like to for your long term, and you tend to do more day trading. And of course, you also usually do a little bit of scalping. So this is what we really want to be doing as much as possible. We want to look at levels. Today was probably a bit of a tough market. I mean, maybe some people have tried to do shorts. What we haven't seen, though, is any lightning bolts. So have we seen any lightning bolts to the downside? No, unfortunately not. We've got resistance, sell-off, picks up, resistance. We don't have any pickup, then sell-off, then movement down. That's what I was looking for in today's session. If it was going to happen, that's what I would have been looking for anyway. And it would have made a big deal here. So it'd be good. Zintax says IWM is forming a bearish reversal pattern. What are your thoughts? Okay, well, let's have a look at IWM. I definitely think the S&P 500 is the most interesting watch here, though. This is a small sell-off into the end. Look at this, 1.17 here in the US 500, US 100 sitting at 1.95. Small little bust out, but no closure at any point higher on the 1 hour here. This is a great little trap zone. It's in the area we expected bulls and bears to fight it out. And the great thing is we will get a trade off this most likely, because if you breach up, then you get a really nice signal saying we consolidated at the resistance. So previous support becomes resistance and we've got a nice breakout. If we breach down, well, the gap is the fill level. Let's take a look at IWM. A few people are messaging on that one. So what is the general gist here? What have you said? IWM forming a bearish reversal pattern. What are your thoughts? I'm not sure how we get the bearish reversal pattern. I mean, my thoughts have not changed. It's exactly as it was sitting, which is the weekly 210. If we breach past here, small caps will be saying, okay, the market's not so bad. We're ready to go long. That hasn't happened. We are at a bullish movement today. And if we look here, we've got that little like long leg doji. In some ways, it's kind of like a decision made. But I'm not going to trust IWM for that. I guess some people might be also saying, oh, well, we've got an upward trend line. I'm looking at this from a flag perspective. So they might be looking at it more, change it to maybe a bar. Here's the length of the pole. And then there's the next pull. Now, interestingly, you wouldn't be wrong to say it's in a potential third movement, because if you think about the pullbacks even, so let's just take the pullback here in terms of distance up to top and think about the previous time, you'll notice they're fairly similar legs. So sometimes when you're looking at patterns or you're looking at an idea for the future, if one move has been the same as the next move, which they are very equal, and if the pullbacks have been very similar to each other, which we just detailed, there are very, very close. You know, they're very close point wise. If we then go to the short, what do we expect? Well, we expect it to go the same distance. So this one went like this one will go like this. Now that would push to a 170. And this is where things get a little bit interesting, because if you took the distance of the channel, let's call it, because it's a Wyckoff distribution, no doubt, and you work that out, it should point towards maybe a 184-ish level. So if you're going bearish on the longer term, and this is your plan, and you're basically saying, if it gets underneath here, I think it's going to continue going weaker, then there's a valid reason why you might go for around 80% of this last move. And I will give you a hint. If you see a 1, 2 with similar pullbacks, the third one doesn't usually go the full distance. It goes 80% of what that distance is. Don't ask me why exactly. I think it becomes a little bit too easy to see. And I think that's one of the big things. So let's see. It looks like Wall Street is continuing to sell off here. Those sneaky dogs. Look at them. They're sneaky. Check out that 15 minutes. So selling into the close here, the last 10 minutes since we've started the stream has literally just been sell, 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 sell. They're getting to the bottom of the range. People saying that there is lag happening. Really? I have pretty good internet. Is it blurry? Is it blurry stream? Bearish reversal flag on the daily. Oh, there you go. We ended up getting there, Zintax. I see what you're saying. Mark Wilkin says, hello, Tom. Check out BE. Very good off nice base with room to run. Okay, we might do that, Mark, for you in a minute. Is anyone else having lag? Andreas says, I refreshed it and it went fine. I would say it's going to be okay, but I'll ask the mod. Dave, if you're around, let me know what's going on here. So here is the big channel of the day. Now we've got on the bar. We'll move it back over to the candle. Most people prefer that. By the way, using line charts, candle charts, and bar charts all has its purpose, which is important. So we're trapped in the range. We've sold off so far into the close. Let's have a look at the sectors that are doing this. Let's see what the damage is being done. Which sectors are actually moving the market at this stage? Are we seeing defensives hold up the best, or has it been mostly some others? So let's refresh this. Now, does anyone know the best sector of the day? Which is the best sector of the day? Let's see if anyone knows. It's almost my sector. Almost. Almost makes me look pretty good. That's right. Makes the community look pretty good, yeah? So Jets is 5.44%. Yeah. But Stupid Tan, the solar index, is 5.52. Why wouldn't you let me just have it? And then Semiconductors up 5. So pretty big in terms of this. We'll just refresh it. Make sure we've got that all set. So here are the majors, and Jets continuing to do pretty well, something that we've been following for a little while. Just remember, year to date, Jets is not that bad. And I like to think that the community got this correct. So we've managed to pick a nice little sector here. Obviously, energy is energy, but who would have thought that old Jets, the most underappreciated sector right now, is actually doing quite well. And I think this comes down to doing fairly decent analysis on the charts and recognizing that certain charts are looking negative, certain charts are looking positive on the larger timeframes. So here overall is semiconductors are up quite hard, which is pretty cool. So that's quite nice there. And XLK has also done very well. So mostly it's growth on, and then Jets just out of the middle of nowhere doing its own thing. Defensives are not the ones being purchased here in the late session. We scroll back over and you'll notice the support has been hit and there's been that large little buy up. So there's a real war between the buyers and the sellers here. And I think even after hours, we're probably going to see a breakout of this range and then for some continuation in the trade session, because this is now a coil. If we breach to the upside, we've got to just be the reality of the situation. We go back over to the daily and we say, okay, what happened here? So you've got like a rejectionish style candle. Some people call it long leg doji on the US 100, so the Nasdaq. It's then gone bullish. It's then consolidated, and if it goes up, well, you've got to say, okay, cool. We might rally some further bit into the FOMC. So we might rally and continue to rally. There's a good day trade pickup. Even if it does bull off in the futures market, there's a really good chance it'll come back down. And I think you've got to look for buys in the next session if that is the scenario. The other scenario is we stay in this range, we break to the downside, we continue to see up, down, and all around into this close. And if we do sell off, then of course the shorters, the bears take control. We fill at least the gap. And I would guess that it's actually going to be more than the gap, because think about what's happened. A nice pullback, resetting some of the indicators off this huge fall. We get the pullback. The market decides what it wants to do next. And if it gets through to the short side, there's a good chance that it goes right back down. And I actually think makes a new low and tests down that 42.5, 43. So 430, 425. That's the area that you would think would be shown. Let's check out Mark Wilkins' one, which is a BE, Bloom Energy Corporation. Let's have a look here. Says, very nice base, looking room to run. Yeah, I agree with you on the base here. Already I can see it's got a nice inverse head and shoulders. If you grab this one, especially off maybe this candle break here, where it got past that rejection, very nice. It's pretty much run like a lot though. So it would have been good if we had this one maybe a few days ago. I totally agree with you though. It's sold off heavily. Earnings seems to be the trigger here for it. So that's what's pushed it through. And it's running after the earnings result. But the base was fantastic. I mean, you look at this on the 4 hour, everyone can see it. Got a 20 moving average here in the 4 hour that got flicked, and that's been a resistance for it for a little while. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, nice base, breaks. It's kind of coming up to the first problem though. That's the only issue for the rest of the community is if they wanted this, if you could get it here, then there's risk reward to make it worthwhile into this zone. But where it's closing today up 13.65% is basically the completion of the first pattern. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's scroll through the markets, which is doing well. So we've got Enphase doing quite well. Nice elasticity kind of pull up here. Good earnings from Enphase. Couldn't hold it due to the rest of the market. It's being picked up again. It's down a lot. Like, a stock like this TAN sector is down quite a lot. Remember, this was $280 and went to $114. So some wild swings. Again, these hyper stocks have recovered a little bit. It's a good day for ARK and ARKG. So all of the hyper stocks doing pretty well. Still not through that resistance at 77.60. We'll cover that in the video. ARKG, something similar. If you have a look here at all the biotechs and stuff, they all have a fantastic resistances on them now, fantastic downward trends, fantastic higher lows. If the sequence connects, regardless of whether you believe you've missed the index or not, in terms of if the trade ends up going long, there's some really good trades in all of these. Apple 1.9 back at the swing. So here's Apple, previous support, resistance, sitting around there. It'll take its cues most likely from the Nasdaq trade. It's another kind of sign that the Nasdaq, why it's important for the Nasdaq to be fighting this zone. We've got gaps that could fill to the downside. We know that we're at a point of support and a point of resistance. And for many day traders, they might be looking at this and saying, maybe I should take some profit ahead of bigger news. So I still think this could be a little bit of a sell-off here into the close, just based on this type of thing. When you see Apple like that, let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon actually looking weak in comparison, only up 0.27 on a fairly strong day. Check this out on the daily. A little bit of a rejection here off the rally. Not a great sign for Amazon. Google, same thing, weakness. No real trades in here, I don't think. Microsoft, one of my favorites. Again, supports becoming resistance. Another signal that why we're struggling at this zone. Why we gapped up and we're struggling at this zone after is because while the Ukraine thing is supposedly sorting itself out, all of these problems. So this support resistance is still here. And of course, inflation is still here. 2-year sitting at 1.575. It's come down a little bit from where it was before. And the 10-year is sitting at 2.049, getting ready for a potential breakout, which could cause the rest of the market going down. Tom, messages are covering the timescale. Yeah, I'll get rid of it. There you go. Thank you very much to the 720 people joining us. The story of the day so far has been the fight between the bulls and the bears here, and they're fighting it out in the last hour of trade. So it's been bearish. Now it's been bullish. The SP 500 is what we're looking at the closest. Now we're back to the bullish side here. And if we go to the US 100, it looks like it's trying to break out. So the actual Nasdaq has just reversed and gone bullish. Remember, we need to see these closures. It's probably going to detail the next line. And we have to be neutral here in markets. We might think the market's going down over a longer period, but you have to just take what the price action is telling you during these times. And at this time, I'm looking at the S&P 500 over the Nasdaq as a signal for the next day of session. So right now, the Nasdaq looks the best, but we still have 9 minutes. A lot can happen. US 500 still trapped in the range. Alexandre says, Roblox taking off, earnings after market. Yep. They faked a fake out now, buying into the close. Well, it depends what your plan was. I mean, how could you have triggered yourself? I mean, if you shorted the top and you had a little stop loss, well, you're just shorting the range. So you should be taking profit somewhere in this area anyway. If you're looking for the bigger move, you've got to wait for it to close either side. That's all you can do. Some crazy buying into the close. Yeah. I mean, there's purchasing in hyper stocks mostly. So if you think about which stocks have started to turn around, it's generally been hyper stocks. Why are semiconductors up so much? Obviously, this little baby here, which is NVIDIA. NVIDIA buying so hard into the earnings. I mean, the earnings isn't out for this stock, is it? It's up 9.17%. Coming into the pivotal support resistance area that it was at the other day. Oh my goodness. But all of these hyper stocks, Roku, base formation. Look at this base formation. If we looked at ARK before, ARK K, ARK G, in only a few days or a few trading sessions, they could all be turning around, showing us that they've based. Regardless of what we think about the market, some of these stocks are basing, which is good because it means there's opportunity in all of these to the bull side. Now, this was an interesting one, wasn't it? So SE got beaten down. India banned it. Garena, I think it's not Crossfire, Free Fire game, which is a huge part of that particular company's revenue. Got belted down into the support, and it's actually rebounding fairly heavily here. So that's an interesting one. About 20% of the money there. Some of my favorites, things like Net, Zscaler, doing incredibly well. This is a hyper stock day. This is a hyper stock day. Even this DKS, which is Dick's Sporting Goods, I've been watching this one just sitting in this little ascending for a while. Check out a breakout above here. That would be a pretty cool trade. It hasn't done this for quite some time. So that would be a pretty phenomenal little area. It's been coiling now for quite some time. Fairly defensive in the market, declined exporting goods. But you can notice here the 118, how big a deal that resistance is. So just something to watch out here. A few people saying they love Etsy. Yeah, well, Etsy, you wouldn't have loved it if you were in it recently. But yes, another one that could have some amazing returns. And don't think you're missing out. So if you feel, oh, I should have bought the dip, I should have bought down here, there's going to be plenty of runway on these hyper stocks. Remember, 156 as the resistance up is still going to be a lot of area. I don't think you need to panic or anything like that into these closures. So the S&P 500, let's just quickly recheck this. We've only got 6 minutes to go. The reason we spend so much time on the indices, by the way, is because this is actually more important than your individual stock. What this does is way more important than your individual stock. If it goes short, most of your stocks will go short. So we'll leave that up there on this side, and I want to look at Tesla. Oops. Where is that? Where did I put it? There we go. So let's look at Tesla here on the 2 hour. Get rid of that for a second. Actually, we'll go Tesla daily. All right. So Tesla's an interesting one. It's snapped the 900 and it looks like it's going to close above. This one here is actually closing above a resistance of the previous session. So no matter how we really look at it, it's most likely Tesla's really going to try to either test this 20 moving average, which it's very close to, or probably more likely go up to this 945. So especially if the market goes bullish, Tesla will go up to 945. And if it busts that 945, 950, of course, then we know 1000 is coming. And at the same time, the market will be going bullish. But Tesla's getting its legs ready for potentially even further moves. 5% up today could be a very nice move here in the next session, depending on what that does. If that goes through, could be a 950. This little channel here is very important to Tesla because this has free rule. Like, what's going to stop it now from going and testing 945? By the technicals, not much. There's a little bit of resistance here, I guess you would say sometimes, but in general, 945 has been the next move. Don't get carried away in any of these green days. What's this green day off? It's off, obviously, the news about the Ukraine, Russia stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean, oh, yes, fantastic. Inflation's gone. All our problems are fixed. The market is still going to be nimble and fast. So the Tesla trade there to 950 could be in the next session for you, depending on when we open. Apple, as we said, at that resistance support area. Microsoft, the same. They're the two kind of signals that we're looking for to show us that we can keep going long. And all of these hyper stocks, while doing really well, a lot of them are just coming up to resistances. So it doesn't really matter which one you're looking at. They're all just coming up to resistances. We'll take a few questions here. So let's see what everybody else has said. Thomas Otto says, Tesla bulls. Oi, oi, oi. That's right, man. You're going to do Airbnb earnings result? Yeah, we can check out Airbnb. I expect it to be pretty decent. I think, who was doing this a few weeks ago? We had somebody mentioning this breakout for Airbnb, and we liked the trade. We actually suspected it would be here into earnings. So our idea was the trade would go to around this level, and that would be earnings. But look, there's all the signs of recovery were here. It found the support. It went long. Closed above. Bulled into this zone. Fantastic. That's where I would have thought the earnings result would come out. And now it continues to go long here into the earnings. I mean, it's going to need to knock it out. If the earnings is bad, it could turn into a Zillow or something bad. You don't want that. So just remember, earnings will have pretty extreme volatility implied into it in Airbnb. Price action looks good. Figuratively, if we go over to the weekly, it's done all the right types of things to say, okay, let's move back up to potentially even that 199, 210 level. I mean, 210 would be your next target if the earnings is good. Earnings is good, 210. All right, here we go. Last minute. Let's check it out. It's going to close in the range. Unlikely to break now in the last minute. How annoying. Market looking to break long-term trend line down, somebody says. Okay. Not sure what trend line you're looking at, but fair enough. 15-minute, we're just looking at the range. Here we go, last minute. It's going to close right at the resistance, isn't it? 12 seconds. So as per normal, the market's going to give us an annoying close. Oh, yay. There we go. So we get our market close right at the resistance. There it is. Real market, I guess you would argue, or use SPY maybe, that it slightly closed above. That's pretty damn marginal. There it is. Post-market sells off a little bit straight away. Nasdaq definitely did break to the long side. I think it's great range, fantastic like structure for previous trades. And let's say the futures come up and they're bullish tomorrow in the next session. I would say it will pull back and day traders will get really good buy opportunities off here if it does go bullish. But don't think that that is that bullish. That's like right on the resistance. The structure looks good, but the futures market could easily just dip. And then we could be opening up here as well, or even opening just even here, coming into the next earnings. I would just go for the day trade. I think those futures markets hasn't told us enough. Or the real markets just basically said, haha, we're trapped still. Which kind of sucks. Andrew Soa says, the market is playing with our hearts like a crazy girlfriend. Yes. It certainly is being annoying. US 100 did break out. Okay, so the Nasdaq broke out. Do not use the Nasdaq as your guide. The Nasdaq is not the guide here in the markets at this stage. If I was looking at this on a daily, I would say it's looking bullish. But because we know that little range here is tight, we just got to wait for that little range to bull out so we can take further bullish moves. If it doesn't and it goes underneath, this is like the critical zone. And it's not like we didn't predict that this would be a critical zone of fighting between the bulls and the bears. It still is. There's nothing we can do about it, which sucks, but it's the reality. It sucks. I mean, daily 200 moving average, sitting on it, come the close, 15-minute. You can see here the futures market selling off a little bit. Annoying. We'll bring up Airbnb while we're at it. So we'll put Airbnb. Okay, we'll get that post-market analysis up for you. I don't know why this never comes up. And we'll show that on 15-minute chart. So here comes the earnings. Must be pretty good. 2.44% up. Futures market selling off now after the close. Kind of frustrating. Somebody said Roblox as well. So I guess we'll bring up that one. Let's use the triple. Actually, we'll use this one. All right. So Airbnb up around 4.4% in the earnings. Not bad. Very nice. Market price action showing you. Could be a good run on this. Could go all the way to 210. Here comes Roblox. Oh, God. Oh, it's running away down. Not up, guys. Not up. No, it fell off the screen. Okay. Oh, God. Look at it. 64. Wow. There you go. Chalk and cheese. See that? It ran away from us on the screen. 15, 16%. Oh, no. 17%. 13, 18. That was weird. See that 13? Illiquid. Airbnb now moving hard each way. That just dropped 3% in like a second and then went back up. Hate the future. I hate earnings. When you're sitting here and you're in a CFD, so a leveraged contract, sometimes you can be like, oh my God. Whereas if you're trading an option, you're like, yes, I have protection. I don't care as much. You still care, but you know what I mean? Like this is why earnings can be so scary in hyper stocks, especially because if it doesn't perform and you're in a growth stock, the chance of movement is huge. And you just saw it go 18% down and move all the way to 10% down. So that's an 8% switch in the post on Roblox, and Airbnb dropped 4% and then went back up in about 2 seconds. It is the time. UPST, okay, we can bring that one up. We'll use this combo, I guess. I didn't know people still traded Upstart. I thought that thing was dead in the door now. It's been horrible for ages, hasn't it? I remember this thing back. Wow, that's way worse than I thought it was. 18.44%. So people still trade this. Interesting. I guess today you're happy with your 20% up. So there it is, post 130. That probably goes straight, goes into previous support resistance area. Probably about right for it, unless there's some amazing announcement. Next stop for this would be 160 if it breaches that. 160 for Upstart. So it looks like Roblox news is pretty bad, sitting at 17% down. Unfortunate. That is right around the previous supports that were formed on 3rd of Feb. Makes sense for it to hold around that level. Just a nice support, drops into that, usually how it works. Airbnb does seem to be holding relatively well, so that could be on a nice trajectory of a full few more bullish days, which is good news. And UPST is currently holding the zone of previous support resistance. And this is one good thing about options sometimes is, I mean, it may keep going, you never know. But in general, if you get like an option and you're thinking, okay, what if I'm going to use an option, the implied volatility might be extreme. I might have to pay a lot for a 2-day option. If I pay, let's say 4% for that option, let's just say I have a 4% option. Where is my most likely scenarios if I buy a call? Well, if I buy a call, obviously there's the scenario where it does terrible and probably drops 10, 15%. And if it does well, the most likely profit target, and it's beating me out here for a little bit, but so did Amazon, and then it came right back down. The most likely profit target is going to be this next support resistance. And that's sometimes how I figure out whether it's even worth buying a call on, because it won't necessarily be able to breach this and go all the way. So you've got to do your risk reward on this. Just a top tip for people. When you're looking for, is it worth me buying that call, or is it worth me buying the option in general with the implied volatility cost? Where is your potential profit? Look to the TA to tell you what you're doing. So it's very important. And of course, you can target out of the money calls, etc. Some people are saying, Tom, that's why you use out of the money call spreads. Hey, don't worry, I know my options. I know what I would do, but you've got to remember call spreads are cool and all, but call spreads, and you can use call spreads on short date if you want to, but you've got, and you should never buy at the money usually. However, you've still got to use your technical analysis to figure out where the most logical conclusion is for these types of strikes. Yeah. And that would be, I would be striking in here for this. You'd be striking in here and trying to get your ratio. Trading is really just ratios and percentages. It's not about the dollar amount. It's more about percentages and ratios. Gary Sayani says, what about if the stock is at all-time high and rips? What then? Well, they're just going to make an educated guess. Look at the psychology numbers on the side. If the stock is trading at $80, then and it's respected on the left-hand side, the $70, the $60, the $50 on the way up, then $90 or $100 would be your aim. When's NVIDIA? So NVIDIA, if you have a look here at the earnings chart, is Wednesday after the close. That's the big one. So here's just the earnings up, like looking forward. We've got Roblox, obviously Upstart today. There we go. Airbnb, very good. Then we've got NVIDIA. We've got Shop tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll check that out in the charts now. We've got Crocs, another one that a lot of you guys seem to like. Interesting. And Cisco's a pretty big company. Fastly, that might be interesting. DoorDash might be interesting. Palantir. There we go. Fix that one. Roku. And then we have Walmart and yeah, some other pretty decent ones. This thing, oh my God. Get rid of that as well. And you got the favorite of many of you, the old DraftKings followed by the John Deere. Interesting. Old Roblox. Not good. People still trade PLTR? Yes, they do. I don't know why people trade those stocks. They're not trading stocks. They're investing stocks if you choose to invest in them. Trading stocks have high volume and a nice pedigree of technical analysis and a deep liquid options market, that kind of thing. Unfortunately for many people, they choose to trade some of these other things and they get destroyed in them. So Roblox now only 12% down. S&P 500 futures on the left-hand side here, trading within the range, which sucks. And post-market action, yep, that's what happens. Upstart coming back down to the resistance. Got a little bit carried away there, went to 138, now sitting around that 134 again, which is correct area for it. Congrats if you're in it. Well done if you guessed it. Straddling the news or like actually creating like little spreads seems to have been a pretty good strategy this earnings season with some big results to the upside in hyper stocks. Almost all hyper stocks, if you notice, if you've been setting yourself up correctly, they've been very, very good. Let's have a look at Shop. Think about it. All these stocks that are beaten down, here's a little rule and tip for you. If the whole sector is getting beaten down and you're pretty bullish on the earnings, maybe you should consider a bull call spread or some out of the money call or something like that. Because guess what? What have you been seeing this entire earnings season? From the good quality, the quality hyper stocks, you've been seeing surprise because the market's so bearish on them because it's down like 80%. It doesn't take much to really impress the market when you're down 80%. Dushan says, PLTR, don't know what to say. There could be a pump, but I don't trust it. Well, again, these are just scenarios that we're talking about. So here's Shop sitting at 890. Now, this was a bit of a fall from grace, wasn't it? This thing was sitting at 1,762 with quite a decent 21 actually in it. Now we're back to the price of June 2020. So all these high conviction stocks from many retail traders are back to levels that still, even if the market turns around now, still provide quite a large runway if you believe in them. Earnings result wise, this stock's not giving you anything. It's not telling you that it's outperformed or underperforms. We've got a nice series of higher lows, which is good. But in essence, this is probably more like one of these type of pennant triangles. It's got a resistance issue. It's got a support issue. It's kind of coiling before the news, ready to explode either way. And unfortunately, that's what it is. This could be one of those ones that you might have placed options on because you expect a highly volatile news event. But yeah, that's where we are with that. Back over here, just again, Airbnb 190 up 6%. Roblox had a bad result, down to 62. Don't really expect it to get under 60 easily. And the old UPST, good result here into the resistance. Futures market on the US 500 indecisive or unconclusive in terms of next move. Watch that heavily throughout the futures market. And tomorrow we should be able to get a nice trade in because we opened at the resistance, which is unfortunate. Tough trading session if you weren't in the previous day, but the structure is there for the short or for the long. So the structure is there. Be neutral into the session. Try not to have too much bias. All right, let's go check out some of the other things. We'll do crypto now. We'll do gold and we'll do some others. So we'll check out gold to start with. Gold sitting at 1852. Hit our 1870 target and sold straight off it. So gold's really at the role reversal. Basically, you expected it to have problems here. We all did. I mean, 1870 has been our target now for since December. So we were sitting there waiting for it for a while. But the good news is there is more run for gold if it can turn around. So if the market starts to go a little bit more bearish, again, this is the right zone for it. Basically, it's the previous consolidation zone over here on the left-hand side. It's previous resistance. It's acting as support. Let's have a look at the 15-minute chart. Get a bit of an idea of what's going on with the price action here. By the way, don't use this gold. There we go. That's a bit cleaner. See how that's so much better, these prices, this one. So we've got a series of higher lows coming in, which is nice. We've got a great resistance around that 1857, let's call it. And we're looking for a breach past that to really show that we've consolidated on the 15-minute chart. So let's go up and down through some multi-time frame analysis here. Just read the candles off. Long leg doji, rejection candle, rejection, rejection. Fantastic. A lot of indecision here both ways. So yeah, we're really looking for an 1857 breakout. We get that. We're looking for it to retest 1870 and move forward. I'm probably looking for that. That's the main thing. If I was day trading, I'd be looking for that, taking it, putting the stop loss in the relevant area. Let's have a look at Crocs. Someone wanted to check that one out. Crocs actually nice support here on the small time frame. So you can see it's holding its base, similar to another, like this stock here got beaten around, 80%. It had an epic run. I mean, this was at the bottom of the, oh my goodness, it was low. $8.80. And what now, because of Kanye West or something, it's up to $180. I mean, I know it's been the run for a while, but wow. So let's have a look at that 1 hour. There is a nice little base formation here coming into the earnings. Expect it to be volatile. Basically, for Crocs, you're looking for this to base, which means it has to get past 110. And if it gets past 110, then you're probably looking at a breakout that can be sustained for a while, because that's a decent base. On the small time frame, if it wasn't for earnings, I'd say that's a nice base for the next session. Breach through. Nice little trade up to that 10750. Not too bad. All right, let's move over to some other markets. US oil. Look, we suspect this is probably topped for the time being. That's a guess, but the guess is based on decent evidence being too far away from the 20 moving average. I believe this move was too aggressive. It hit our 92. At that point, I kind of said, I'm done with gold, with oil at the moment. I am. I don't like it when it gets so far away. That starts to smell of a decent pullback or at least consolidation period. It's too far away. It hit the target technically. It's extended. Maybe it's gone to excess phase, got the last kind of people in. I saw $100 articles going on everywhere for oil, and now it's suddenly coming down. So the reason I don't like it is when you move away 18% from the 20 moving average, from the mean reversion, and you scroll through history, you find me another point where it moved 18% away other than during the downside. Downside, it can move pretty aggressively, but to the upside, very rare. 18% away from the 20 moving average. No, 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 no. Adore says SMH looked like it was doomed. Today it booms. So yeah, probably very reliant on Nvidia here. It certainly did look pretty doomed though. It still looks a bit crap. Semiconductor still looks a bit crap, even with today's boom. I mean, those weeklies, long leg doji, double rejection, you got through here, you would definitely have a sad face. You wouldn't be very happy. Let's have a look at the crypto markets. We'll check out Bitcoin. Thank you very much to the 800 people still joining us. The story of the day is obviously the earnings results and the market being trapped on the SP 500. So make sure you get that resistance and support set up and you'll be feeling pretty good. So Bitcoin's done okay over the last 24 hours. It hasn't gone to a new low, ended up creating a bit of a range, which we talked about at the end of last session. That was a great little range. Breached through that and has continued bullish. So 44,000. Some people, that might be a first little TP. You're probably looking for it to go back into the 45, 46. And if we get past 46, look, Bitcoin's got to be in a fairly decent rally, you would think. Let's have a look at what I posted on the Twitters yesterday. Follow us over at FX Evolution on Twitter. So I posted this. This is the annual seasonality of crypto, or Bitcoin in this case, over the last, since 2012 to now. And what you'll notice, funnily enough, and this is probably more the retail market, it's pretty funny how Monday tends to be the best day, but it's a 7-day market, so that wouldn't really make sense. What I think is interesting is you always have that October, November rally. We've seen that happen so many times over the years, but Feb, March, April tend to be fairly decent rally periods as well for this market, and it kind of cools off after that. So this next 3-month period should be where crypto comes back. And remember, the FUD and the fear and all that stuff is fairly large. So yeah, I think that we're getting back into the zone here for crypto to potentially do a little bit better. And so come join us at FX Evolution on Twitter. I've been posting there a fair bit. Was anyone's Valentine's like this? I worked in finance, so it's probably funnier for someone that works in finance. Let's go back to the crypto. So Bitcoin looks pretty good. Ethereum certainly looked pretty good. Here's the little breach out that we were looking for. Nice. Rally. Seems to be in the middle of kind of a rally. Maybe a small pullback here. Further rally. I mean, the crypto market doesn't look too bad. And Ethereum held the whole way, like this trend line, fairly well. I mean, it didn't breach. It tried, but it didn't. Dot, terrible still. Not showing the strength the rest of the cryptos are yet. Need to get through 23 to have any confidence in that thing. KSM is similar, very weak on both these top dot networks. But you go over to something like Matic, it is improving. Someone asked yesterday about Solana. Let's have a look at Solana. Yeah, another weak one. So the alts aren't there yet. Most of the alts aren't there yet. Maybe SHIB's doing a bit better, but generally speaking, these alts, what was popular, that market hasn't regained. It's just all the Bitcoin circus and the Ethereum circus. And if they can stabilize and continue to stabilize, then I think we can get through, for Solana, the big key here is 120. You breach 120, all the other alts will be breaching, and you'll also be, realistically knocking off your downward trend line. So you'll get that nice double bottom, and all the alts will be double bottoming. That's the signal I'm looking for the broad market. And I don't think it can happen until BTC gets through 46K. That's when you get the proper bull markets back, baby. Cameron Chevalier says, Tom, can you please make ADA go up? Yeah, Cardano has sucked, hey. ADA has sucked. Ugh. It's the same as the rest. It's hideous. This was once the hottest coin on the market. Remember when everyone loved the old Cardano? At this stage, it's the same thing. Double bottom needs to come in. Needs to get past 121. Once you do that, we're back. It's going to be much better. Singh says XRP to the moon. So XRP has been a little bit different. It's actually had the best return of all of them. Court case or something, I don't know. Probably that's still the discussion point. Looks better than the other coins though, when you start looking at it. Gary Sandy says, how about the all clear for the SPX? Nope. I can't give you an all clear for the SPX. You should be able to go and have a look at the 15-minute, Gary. You'll know. Is that an all clear? Unfortunately, it is not. Upstart is up almost 30% after hours. Yeah. It's at 142. Still be careful with it. I mean, I can't say not congratulations, but you've got to also look at the last history of this stock. I mean, this thing sucks. I'm sorry. I know you might like it, but it sucks. It's an absolute gamble fest. Otherwise, why would the stock have gone to 408 and then obliterated itself down to $80? You know, it is a gamble fest. As long as you understand that and you trade it accordingly, then cool. It's all about risk management on Upstart. Somebody got really badly burnt on this stock, though. People that bought up here are just destroyed. Nadia A says semis will pump tomorrow. So people are getting very bullish on the NVIDIA announcement. NVIDIA into resistance. If semis pump, markets will break up and then we can... Remember, it's not a question of whether the fundamentals are good. You refresh this. I've argued for a long time that the fundamentals are not that bad. 72% beat rate, 750 beats, 285 misses. That's not bad. You know, that's actually very good. That's better than most earnings seasons. The guidance has been relatively good. This is mostly an attack on the growth sector of the markets due to the persistent inflation problems, and therefore we don't know how many times they're going to raise rates. And if you look at the value sectors versus the other sectors, you know, it's clear to see that we're in a very interesting time, because if these interest rates all do come to pass and they start pushing 5 in or 6 in, it will affect growth, at least temporarily. Markets are pricing in for that. Let's have a look at jets here. One of my favorite sectors at the moment, unbelievably. Yeah, nice resistance done here. So this is a whole sector. It's done 5.73. You might not be interested in it because you're in Upstart with 30%, but I think that's phenomenal. This has been a very nice little trade so far. We'll find out whether it continues. This is a very pivotal day for it. If the market goes hot, then I would say this goes better. Finally seeing some, look at the volume. It's so big. That's what got me excited. Love that volume. Gareth Evans says, Trio, people aren't buying GPUs right now. Yeah, GPUs definitely came down the secondhand market. Important to think about. But I'd say they still get good sales figures. A few people saying QQQ, please, etc. Yeah, look, we've done the QQQ quite a bit, and we'll do it in the daily show. Trader McStockster says, seems like the high percentage of beats is only due to them making lower estimations. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Kevin, I've been looking at jets now for a month. I've been in it for a month. It's done better than the market. Tom, if we break the upside tomorrow, do you expect fuller bullish pressures regardless of the Fed minutes? You can never predict it, but yes, price action would be dictating to go bullish at that point for the day trade, with the stop loss, with the entry, with all those things. I like to be relatively nimble and fast. I mean, I expect markets to continue to be sideways and more of a trader's year. If you're thinking about where is the big investment level for most of the market, it's going to be here. I mean, it's clearly a 4,600. You breach 4,600, the bears are dead, man. Continue 4.7, 4.8, all-time highs, that type of thing. That's the expectation you would have from the price action. At this stage, you can't really have that expectation. You're just sitting in the little 15-minute trap within the exact range that we thought it would happen. All right. Well, everybody, if you are interested, welcome to join us live in our next session we will be doing over here. I'll just quickly grab you the link. So if you'd like to join us, we will be doing a special session over here. Come and join us on our secondary channel. We do these Wednesday, or we call them Wednesday, obviously Tuesday close in the US kind of market updates. So that's with my trading partner. We're going to start that very soon. I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us for today's session. It's pretty good. Good to see the cryptos going back. I'm glad if you've been in the longs, well done. But do just remember this little tight range here is going to be, I think, the discussion point of the next 24 hours. And regardless of the FOMC minutes and stuff, this is probably the most important price action that we see. So trap around here. If we break through, great. If we bust below, get ready for another leg down, because that's going to be where that weakness comes back into the market, you would think. It's at the right area, at the role reversal. Makes sense to me. Thanks so much. See you soon if you want to come and join us. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow or later on in the video. Catch you for now. Michael H, $5 with a thumbs up. Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate the super chat, man. Thanks for the support as per usual. Great, man.